Hello, everyone. It's Tiffany Bryant Jackson, Education Manager of Three Bone Theater, back again with another story. We are currently in production for Sanctuary City, where we tell the story of two dreamers. In this series, we wanted to have conversations with friends of ours from the community who may not have been born here, but who've made a life here in the United States and their experiences and what that is like. Tonight, I have Lucia, I call her Miss Lucia Gonzalez, and she is from El Salvador. And she's going to talk a little bit about her experience, and I have a few questions for her. So I'm going to jump right in. Hello, Miss Lucia.
Hello. Hi, Tiffany. Good to see
How are
you.
you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Okay, can you tell us, when did you leave? And I think in all my time of knowing you, I don't think I know this. When did you leave El Salvador to come to the United States?
Well, I left El Salvador in 1984.
Okay. What made you decide to come over?
What made me decide to leave El Salvador to come to the United States to have freedom? It was the war that was in El Salvador. It was not safe, and it's still not safe for women's kids in general, everybody. It was not safe, and it's still not safe. So that's the reason make me come over here.
So for safety,
Safety.
essentially. And did you already have kids at that time, or were you traveling with kids, or just you?
Well, I traveled with one of my daughters. She was a little girl, almost a baby, and that's I cannot leave my kids behind. If it was not safe for me, it was not safe for her either.
That is understandable. And that's something I don't think we often think about as people who were born here. We don't have to think about having to choose to leave where we were born because it's unsafe for us, and what that journey has to feel like. When you arrived, how did you deal with the cultural differences of being in America?
It's like a wake up call because it's different. The language barrier, that's one thing. And then um food, friends, family, you leave everything behind and it's everything new for you, and you have to it's basically, yeah, like you were born again in a
You're like
different
starting
country
over,
and different culture.
completely starting over. And did you have a hard time adjusting, or were you often missing home? What was that like?
It was hard to adjust and missing home because you leave your family behind, and it's not the same. Uh but you after a while you start thinking, there is a reason why I left, and it's not because I wanted to leave. It was a reason. Otherwise, I would stay there.
Okay. And when you got here, where were you first? We know you're in North Carolina now. Is that where you came first, or did you stop somewhere else and live for a while?
When I came, I arrived to in Texas, Houston, Texas, and I spent a couple years out there, and then I moved to New York, and then to New York here.
Okay, so three very different cities and three very different environments to be in, from like deep, deep south of Texas to southeast here, all the way up to New York, which is its own world in particular. How did you find community? How did you connect with friends once you got to any place?
I think when you are in that situation, you relied on whoever you come across, and you're looking for help. You're looking for someone to help, for the helping hand. And that's important. That it doesn't matter who they are, but you're looking for someone to help you to understand your situation. And a lot of times it's difficult because nobody can understand what you went through, why you're here. And
Did,
and that's it's hard for that.
So it's kind of hard finding your place as people were trying to figure out why you were here suddenly and finding friends. Did you ever experience in one environment or one time someone really being unwelcoming of you?
Well, it varies for location or state or situation. A lot of times you find people who are they welcome you, and sometimes you find people who are looking at you like the way that you portrayed, they start looking at your face, your
Hmm.
body, your culture, and they think the worst, or without realizing who you are and why you are there.
So you've been here since the 80s. Do you still find today, like in the 2022 era and further, that people still may look at you as if trying to guess one where you're from and look at you a little unwelcoming, you know, with an accent? I know it can be tricky because people are rude. Do people treat you any differently sometimes now?
They still treat me different, not everybody, but there's still find someone who can treat you just because they look at you Hispanic, Latino, Latinx. um they they always think they always judge a book by its cover.
That's unfortunate. I
Yes.
wish we were better people. So much. And I know you now do a lot of work in your community. You help a lot of people around you, which is beautiful. I've been out and about and I've seen Miss Lucia, who came for one thing, suddenly help another person like fill out a form, which is a beautiful sight to see because people trust her. And your experiences with dealing with new immigrants coming, have you ever had to witness the effects of deportation on a family and what that's like for them?
I have witnessed families who get separated for they always find a reason why they say they get deported, but they don't realize what the family is gonna go through, was going through. The kids, the family is gonna be separated, and they are living children without a parent, without a mother, without a father, without grandma. They without this support they need to be successful, and I have witnessed friends who get their husband be deported, and it's painful to watch that and to see that firsthand, um the pain that they go through, and you cannot do anything because
Yeah.
that's we cannot do anything unless the law is changed.
Yes, that is an excellent point. And I know one of the things we can all do is advocate for our friends in our community, and understanding where there need to be resources given to our community. If you got your microphone on and you're telling every one of us one thing we can do better, or one thing you want us to know when we think about the context of this show and what's happening in our own backyard here in Charlotte, what's one thing you'd want our audience members to know?
I don't think I can choose one thing.
Well, give us more than one.
Well, one thing that we can do is support the families, understand the why they're here. A lot of children are now they're teens, but a lot of time we don't know that they were brought here for a reason, and this is the only place they know as home. This is their home. Just because they were not born in this country, that doesn't mean they don't belong over here.
That's an excellent point.
So and they need the support, they need the help. Why deporting to a place that they don't know?
Yeah, that always
Even
baffles me too. People are sent back somewhere, and if they have lived, in the state of North Carolina for 20 years, and suddenly, because 21 years ago they were born somewhere else, they're supposed to make that their home, when circumstances, as you mentioned, El Salvador still is not the safest place for you to be, right? Going back isn't going to help your family or your kids in any way. And then you're making the psychological weight of having to now fit in a place where you were never there. I cannot imagine what that's like. And we can all do better. We can all pay attention and get to know people and really, really be there for students and families in these situations so that they can learn. And I think that with our show, if I often think about reading the show and watching the show, man, what resources, what could we have given to assist? And it seems like such a world of fear, right? Because you don't want to get in trouble. You don't want to get deported. So you kind of live your existence a little under the radar as much as possible. And I want people to wake up and do better, because you're right here in the city of Charlotte. So you know this is happening in our own backyard.
It happens in our own backyard. It's happening everywhere. And I would like the government to give the opportunity to everybody, because this is a country of immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times they forget they are immigrants too.
Mm-hmm. And
So
we're all
yes.
very few of us come from this land that we sit on now. And, you know, if you are sitting at home and watching this and you're like, oh, the government's above my head, it's not. You vote. You have the power to vote. Pay attention to the legislation that is going forth in your areas, in your local and national levels. You have to plug in and learn a little more and figure out what groups are really working towards some things. We partner with Our Bridge. You're familiar with Our Bridge. They've done some work and they've gone up to DC to present some things. So figuring that out, we have the International House not far. It's in the center of Charlotte, just about. There are so many routes and avenues to plug in. Lucia, can you think of any I'm forgetting? I know there are plenty.
The Latin American Coalition.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I would urge everyone to plug in and just go search and see how you can support these orgs and support the families in your neighborhood, in your county, in your state, in your whole United States. And we can all plug in. Thank you, Miss Lucia, for taking some time and talking with me tonight.
Yes, I would like to say also, you know, give the opportunity to everybody to have a decent job, to have a better health, have a education that everybody deserves.
Yes, basic human rights.
Yes.
It's not a political issue. It's a basic human right. All the things Lucia just said. And so how do we make sure everyone has those basic rights? No one should be without those ever, for no reason. So I feel you, Miss Lucia. Thank you again for taking some time. Everyone else, if you have not seen Sanctuary City, it is playing one more week. So it will play Wednesday through Sunday, the 20th of November. Get your tickets now and catch this beautiful show. I want you to walk home thinking about this conversation and then diving into your own conversations of how you can dive in. If you do nothing else, dive in, gather some information, learn and grow so that you are part of the change we need to see in our city and beyond. Again, Sanctuary City, Wednesday through Sunday, the 20th at Arts Factory. Get your tickets at 3bonetheater.com. Don't wait, don't hesitate. Come check out the show. Thank you.